Hey everybody, we are ready to start month 4 of the designer series of $5 quilt. And today I'm going to show you the cutting and talk about the assembly. And then we'll post this, and then so when you get your blocks you'll be able to watch it and know what to do. We had a request that I show the fabrics for all of the lines instead of just the one I'm cutting. So I'm going to do that really quick before I start so that you know what color is what. So print number 1 for the 3 programs is Allison Glass. This one is Amanda Murphy. And this one is Edida's Sitar. Now these fabrics are in every block every month and will always be print number 1. Print number 2, this is going to be Allison Glass. It's a new color for the first time. This is going to be Amanda. And this one, look how beautiful this red is going to be Edida's Sitar. Okay. Then print number 3 for Allison will be this real pretty green, teal green. For Amanda, we're going to use this green color shot. And then for Edida, we have this gold print. And there's lots of gold in the main print. So that's and we call those P1, P2, and P3. And the colors are on the sheet, the cutting sheets that you get. Then we go to our background prints, or they're not called background, they're called lights. So light 1 is always the same every month in each of the blocks. So for Allison, it's this the white cross stitch with a little dab of pink in there. Then we have Amanda, which is, it looks like a Santa's beard, the white with the the swirls. And Edita is the... Not so high. Oops, sorry. Edita is the tan with her cream with this beautiful blue toile going through it. Okay, so those are the same every month also. Then light number 2 for Allison is going to be the gray, probably my favorite gray of all time. And then for Amanda is going to be this pearlized star, which I love also. Isn't that pretty? And then Edita, however it's pronounced, is going to be this cream with these blue clover in it, which I also think is very pretty. And then light number 3 are little pieces. You only need 1 strip. For Allison, it is this white and it's got the gray designs through it. Just a plain pearlized for Amanda Murphy. And we have the little dot for Edita. So those are the fabrics this month, so you can see them. I'm going to gather up the 2 that I'm not cutting today and get them off my mat, but I will take them with me because I need to make the samples so I can show you guys when they get done. Okay, so the instructions, as you know, when you get them, will have light 1, 2, and 3 to cut, and then it'll have print 1, 2, and 3. So it's pretty obvious. And then this may be one that we marked up, but we've been proofreading. What we started to do, let me see if I printed it, is that I went in and labeled the lights on here, because I'll be honest, I went to make the block last night and I kept mixing up my lights. So now on your instruction sheet you'll have a L1, L2, and L3, so you know when you're making it which light it's supposed to be, because it's really hard to represent 3 different lights on a sheet of paper. Okay, so you have that. Isn't that a pretty block? It's very similar to month 1. This was supposed to be month 2, but I moved it because I figured if you guys did 2 of them in a row, you might not want to keep going. So we're sneaking this one back in, and I think it's really fun. All right. So we're going to cut this, and again, I'm going to do it really quickly just so you can see how to cut. And we're going to start with light number 1. So light number 1 is this one. Oops, sorry. Light number 1 is this one. And I'm going to tell you that Once you get them cut, I would stack them, and then before I start doing any sewing, I would match up the pieces that have to be strip pieced, because most of this is strip pieced, so you don't get them mixed up. Because I'm here to tell you that it's real easy. So I need 1.5 by 6.5. Well, it should be approximately 8 inches tall. So what I'm going to do is clean cut my edge, and I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to cut a 1.5 inch strip. Now the 6.5 is just kind of, it's a 1/2 inch bigger than you need, but we don't really need to trim this down. We can use it because we're going to strip piece. We're going to leave it at whatever size it is. Then I need 4 1.5 by 6.5s. Now I'm going to give you a little hint here. All of the pieces we're cutting are going to be, you're going to cut the 1.5s first. So if you just want to go through and not even look at the sheet, except with one exception, and just cut 1.5 inch strips, you can then go back and cut your individual pieces. So I'm going to cut 2 1.5 inch strips off of here. Okay. And then I'm going to put these on top of each other, like this. Now, if you have a one of the cutter or the rulers that have the grooves to cut, I find that makes this job go really fast. But I'm going to line this up. Notice I've got the straight line on the fabric, and I'm going to clean cut one edge. Then I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to find my 3.5 inch line. So 3.5, notice this is straight, this is straight. I can do that. And then I'm going to do it again. 3.5, 3.5. Okay. Just like that. So now I have 4 1.5 by 3.5s. So I have accomplished light number 1 with a 1.5 by whatever length strip and 4 1.5 by 3.5 inch segments. So I'm going to set those there. Now light 2 needs to be cut exactly the same way. And if you're into power cutting, I could have stacked them and done them together. But I'm going to just clean cut this edge. Almost went my thumb. Wouldn't that be horrible to have you guys watch me cut myself?
No, please don't do that.
So I'm just going to go ahead and cut 1.5. And again, like I said, everything has to be done in 1.5 inch strips this month. So I'm just going to do that first. Okay, there's my extra. And I need a 1.5 by 6.5, so I'm going to put that up there. And then I'm guessing, yep, it's the same. I need 2 1.5 by 3.5s. So that's pretty easy, isn't it? So I'm going to do exactly the same thing. Start with a straight line on my edge, clean cut, and flip it over, and we're going to do 2 3.5 inch cuts. Okay. One. Oops. If that happens to you, make sure you get them lined back up. The other way you can cut these, if you don't like stacking them, is you can put them on your board like this, next to each other, and then measure over the 3.5 and make sure that they're lined up. I've got this line, this line, this line. I'm good to go. I've got those. Okay? So now 1 and 2 are cut exactly the same. Now I have light number 3, which is just this strip here, and I need a 1.5 by 3.5 and then 2 1.5 inch squares. And again, that 3.5 is not an exact number. It's just, they need to be 3, actually finish at 3. We just throw a little extra in so we can trim. So if I cut my 1.5 inch strip and I clean cut, I'm going to recommend on this one that go ahead and cut your 2 1.5 inch squares first. Okay, and then leave this whatever length it is because it's going to be strip pieced and we can just sew whatever we need to on there. So now we have our lights done. We have two 1.5 by whatever length the fabric was. We have our 1.5 by 3.5, and then we have our background here. So, and again, this is what I recommend. After you cut, just line them up and then we'll go through and pair them up. So now we're going to start with print number 1, which is this big piece, just beautiful piece of fabric. And we need little writing here. We need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 1.5 by 3.5. So again, here we are doing all 1.5 inch strips. So now this piece is 8 by 8.5. This is the kicker here. You need to have the 8.5 going this way. And so let me make sure I don't make that mistake. Yep, so it needs to go this way. So I just clean cut the wrong edge, but that's okay. Okay, and then you just want to cut, you're going to need 5 1.5 inch strips. So again, if you have a strip cutter, it makes short work of this because you don't have to keep moving the ruler. Maybe next month I will demonstrate that so you guys can see how nice that is. 3.
Perfect time for December too.
Yeah, put it on your Christmas list. 4. And 5. Okay. All right. So now in order to get 6 1.5 by 3.5, I need to cut 3 of them. So you can either stack them, which is what I like to do, or you can line them up bumper to bumper. Right. And I'm going to that. Carefully flip it over. And now I'm going to measure the 3.5. And I'm going to measure it again. Sorry, it's taken a while, but when you have this many cuts, there's 6 fabrics this month. It takes a while to cut them. So now I have 6 1.5 by 3.5. Now I have these 2 long strips left, and I need 4 1.5 by 2.5, and then I need 2 1.5 inch squares. So I may have cut this wrong, Missy. I need 1.5 by 2.5. So I'm gonna do, maybe not, 2.5. I did cut these last night, so I know it works. 2.5, yes, and now we have plenty of space to cut our 1.5 inch squares. Look at that. That fabric's ours. There we go. See that? Pretty easy. Okay, now we have color 2, and we're going to cut 4 1.5 inch strips off of color 2. Okay. So half. So these 3 we're going to leave because we're going to strip piece them, and then the last one we're going to take 1.5, and because of the way we're making these are going into 4 patches. They need to be 3 inches, but we like a little extra. I would just tell you to take the strip and cut it in half. That way you'll have a little bit extra when you strip these 2 pieces together, and you'll be able to trim your pieces out of there. And they're going to measure somewhere between 3.25 and 3.5. If I put this down, yeah, this one measures just shy of 3.5. and I will, and so that will give you those pieces. And they're going to be paired with this piece. So I just need 2 1.5 inch strips off of, this is print 3. Oops. It always scares me that one of these days that's going to slip right up into my finger. Okay, so here's 1.5 and 1.5. Okay, so, and those I'm just going to put with those because that's what they're going to get paired with. So now the big trick is going to be pairing these up to start the sewing process. So let's stop the cutting video and we'll start the assembly video.